Okay, back to what I was saying. I wasn't very helpful. I was trying to be helpful, but I guess I wasn't. But what I do know to be true is that everybody has the ability to interpret. Everybody has the ability to ask questions and theorize. And this is something that we need to be exercising more. You don't need to accept the truth. And I know that that's like it can be seen as a very sketchy thing to say in this day and age because there's a lot of contemplation over whether we even have truths anymore. And I think we do. I think that there are truths. I think one of the truths is that everybody has something to provide to this world and that everybody's mind is distinct and their own, and therefore everybody has unique solutions to any problem or issue that we have on this planet, and people need to be encouraged to think more, to critically think, to examine, to hypothesize, and to share their ponderings, to share their mind with the world in a way that is more intentional. We are all scholars, we are all academics. Everybody is somebody with knowledge, with profound knowledge and profound wisdom. Because at this point, humans, I think, are over 1 billion years old. Maybe we're less than that. I don't know. But we've been on this planet for a long enough time to the point that every single person on this planet has an incredible wealth of knowledge. You all have ancestors. You all derive from something. There's nobody on this planet who has no lineage, has no ancestral lineage, because we have not figured out a way to make human beings without other human beings. So we all come from something, which means we all carry information. We all have genes, genetics, DNA. We all have codes, right? So it's important that we all feel welcome and safe enough to begin to ask questions and to share where our mind leads us. We are all teachers. And I think that we've all become many of us have been nurtured into being very comfortable being the student. And while it is fantastic to be a student, it is fantastic to learn, it is also important to not just be students of institutions and of things outside of yourself, but be students of your own mind and be students of your own access, of your own, the worlds that live within you. Why do you daydream about what you daydream about? Why do certain things pique your interest? It's because you have a resonance with those things. You know things about that perhaps the rest of us don't. And we want to hear about it. We want to know what you know, because there's something there for every single one of us. And for me, I'm discovering right now, I'll try and explain to you how the symbols and the signs and the spiritual has become more physical for me. So when I say that, I just mean that literally all of these spiritual signs and blah, 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 signs from within, the lessons from within, the conversations I'm having inside of my head, now they show up in my outside world in ways that are very physical, very grounded. It's not a unicorn coming out into the street and saying hello to me. It's not, mystical in that way. It's very 3D. But it is the spiritual in the 3D, showing that they can be one and the same, but they've just been separated through this desire to get people to not believe in the capacity of their own mind to create. And it comes from this same idea that there is no such thing as an original thought, and that everything that has been created or that ever will be created has already been created. All of these things that stop people from producing because they believe that they are, that they don't have anything to offer. All of those come from this same movement to stop people from contributing newness to the world, which is what we need. We are in an era of cycles, and we are reusing constantly again, recycling again and again, and yet not recycling, right? But recycling the same ways of thinking, which are not helpful if we want to create, manifest, bring into being a new world, right? Which we all do. I don't know many people that are satisfied and completely happy with the way that life is right now. I don't know any. I don't personally know any. Everybody has their utopia. Everybody has their thing that they escape to. Some of us escape through drugs and things like that. Other people escape through their creations, their art. Some people escape through really engaging in this world. But in one way or another, pretty much everybody is unsatisfied with the world that we live in. And part of that has to do with the fact that the world that we currently live in has almost nothing to do with any of us, has almost nothing to do with any of the people that reside in this world. It has to do with the perspectives of a few. And those perspectives are really broken and incomplete because those people are incomplete, because you can't be whole while you take from other people. Wholeness has to do with a wholeness of self, and a lot of these people are without themselves. So that's to say that one thing that I think I want to put more effort into talking about is exploring the way that the world speaks the spiritual language, the language of the spirit in the physical for me, and showing that it's not so much a romanticization of life or a delusional perspective of life, but rather just looking through a different lens. And all of those lenses are equal and true and valid. I think that we have to start putting things on the same level, seeing the world from the optimistic point of view, from the best point of view that really feeds your spirit, is not delusional. It's not harder to do. It's not all of these things. It is equal to seeing the world from the perspective of a system. It's equal to seeing the world from the perspective of a victim. All of these things are things you can do, you have the might to do, you have the ability to do equally. Okay? And so then it really is just a matter of a decision. And then you can understand your free will as being something that is always kind of wanting to work in your favor. Free will is not something, it's not a punishment, and it's not something to be afraid of, and it's not something to look at as what has taken us away from God, as some people might say, or away from our own humanity. Free will is what encourages us to expand upon the inner worlds of our life and that are given to us by spirit, or given to you by yourself, given to you by your creativity, by your mind, whatever you believe in. It doesn't matter what names you use, but free will helps to create. Free will says, I deserve to have this thing within me, and the world deserves to have this thing within me be brought out into the public and to be embraced by life. And embraced how is however it is embraced. But it deserves to be seen. It deserves to be recognized. You deserve to have your creations known. Known by how many? It doesn't really matter. It's just that you deserve to be seen. And part of that is connected to asking more questions, thinking more critically, and becoming the scientist, the researcher, the astronomers that, the ancient people were, that we all looked up to. It wasn't just the people who had the money and the time to sit around and contemplate the stars that were coming up with incredible advancements. It's just their stories that are recorded. But everybody was asking questions. Everybody was looking to the sky and pondering. We are a world full of philosophers right now. And I think that if we give ourselves enough time and space and honor and compassion to really recognize and affirm that everybody has the ability to be a creator, and everybody has the ability to be the philosopher that ends up pushing our understanding of the world to a new dimension, then we will be in such a better place. And it doesn't take that much. It honestly just takes you deciding that you deserve to have your thoughts be part of the public sphere and part of the mass consciousness rather than just inside. Because a lot of what's being deemed as public consciousness, mass consciousness, isn't. It is a fabrication. It's something else. It's an expression still created by the system. A lot of people aren't actually sharing their opinions. What we see online and blah, 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 when people say that what's online isn't real, they're not just saying that to, be controversial or to be raw and real. Like, it's facts. What's online is not representative of people as a whole. It can't possibly be, because you cannot fit the wholeness of a human being into a digital realm. And the digital realm only ever represents the mind, the partial minds of people. And Earth is made up of a lot more than just human beings. So being able to understand that and then know that what they're saying is the mind of the public, is the thought of the public, and knowing that that doesn't actually resonate with you, a member of the public, that must mean that there is something off there. That must mean that perhaps that's not the mind of the public. That's the created mind of a system that's calling itself the public. We are something different. Our consciousness, our mind has gone underground and none of us are talking to each other, and we're not sharing our full truths. And there are people who are, and we either lift them up in a bit of idol worship, which I understand why, because it's great to see somebody who's doing something that you wish you could do, and you look on that with admiration, and then you it's easy to fall into praise, because humans are kind people who want to uplift each other and want to speak life and love into each other. So we affirm those who we see ourselves in, even though we know we're not being our complete selves. But it's important that we don't just stop with witnessing those and affirming those who are participating in the public. We need to get out there and be there with them. That's what being a true ally is. That's what being a true member, a true participant is. You have to engage fully, put more of yourself into every world that we have that exists right now in this 3D world. Right now, the worlds that we have that exist are this physical and the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, and the digital. And there might be more, and I'm sure somebody else has another thought has another understanding of another world that exists. And that's a world that we need to include too. But the point being that we need to get more engaged by engaging our own minds in public and sharing what's on our mind and sharing what we think without feeling ashamed. And it's the same thing, and like the public, what the digital age has done a really great job at is like kind of decriminalizing and de-vilifying the idea of talking in public. For a while, talking in public was criminalized, and it wasn't like nobody was going to jail, but unless you did it to the point that made people uncomfortable, and then you were called crazy, and then you were being put into mental health institutions, right? Which are the same as jail and being called insane. And so a lot of us have stopped talking in public the same way people, it's like now like a thing to dance in public, but when people do it, it's not seen as authentic, right? Or singing in public. It can either be seen as a nuisance or somebody just trying to get attention. Nothing that ever connects to just somebody being genuine. And it's because we have a lot of like self-guilt and shame and anger and bitterness, resentment around the ways that we've been forced to go so completely inward in order to protect our humanity. But ultimately, it's led to a total dehumanization and de-earthification of earth beings. We're not being alive. And so now we're seeing our earth dying because we're not contributing our life to the earth, to the outside. Earth is the outside. Earth is the other world. Earth is the world outside of yourself. You need to engage. You need to be involved. Earth is, the enchanted forest. Go be a part of it. If you don't want the enchanted forest to be filled with misery and a bunch of assholes that are trying to put spells on people and kill people's dreams and their desires, then you need to go into the enchanted forest and change the energy by participating and becoming a part of it. You need to say, I am a member of the enchanted. I am a member of the other world. I am a member of the outside. I am a witch. I am a magician. I am all of these things that have been criminalized. I am a scientist. I am, all of these things that we are made to feel separate from. Go from being too inside to being in balance with the inside and the outside. Your inner worlds, the outer worlds. And you can simply do that by just sharing your thoughts honestly, earnestly, genuinely, from a place that you're telling the truth. This is a reflection of how you feel in some capacity. You don't need to be able to put everything that you feel into words, because that's not even an honest ability of human beings. We can't put everything into words. Some feelings cannot be explained. But when you do what you can, when you do what feels true and whole to you, you are participating. You are bringing life back into the earth. This is one simple way that you could begin to combat climate change and become an actor in a world where we're made to feel like there's nothing we can do anymore. So that's something that I want to add to the conversation. And I think that's it. So for now, I'm going to go. My neck hurts. And if I can find a spiritual meaning of that, then I'll let you know. It could be them talking about the throat chakra, right? Like I'm always being told I need to speak more, I need to share more, I need to blah, 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 and I'm never doing it. And when I think about why my neck hurts at this point, I'm like, well, maybe my head is getting big. And perhaps my head is getting big because I'm getting filled with knowledge. I've got all this knowledge, but I'm hoarding it. So I'm about to fucking combust. And I've been getting headaches. And it's like, you have all this information, but you're hoarding it. And you're hoarding it because you're not sharing. And it's not intentional. I'm not like, oh, nobody deserves to know this. I don't feel good enough. I don't feel like I am enough to be a teacher. I don't have the energy. I'm tired. I feel drawn down, weighed down. I feel exhausted. I feel confused. But the truth is that that's what the revolution is about. You have to fight through your burnout. You cannot let your burnout take you out. And it's like working out. When you get tired, you don't just stop. You have to keep going. Mental and emotional burnout and spiritual burnout is very real. It's very, very, very real. But a revolution means that despite how real that is, despite how felt that is, you don't give up. You don't stop doing what you need to do. You keep fighting. This is something I'm learning right now. I'm learning that I cannot just not engage and completely remove myself from the outside world because I'm burnt out. I can't just remove myself. I have to remain a part of the fight. I have to remain a part of the struggle in the ways that I know that I am a part of it. I know that being on YouTube and saying whatever I can and sharing my messages and my thoughts and blah, 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 all of that is a part of my role in the revolution. And there are more things, but that is a part of it. So I need to share it, as much as I can in whatever way I can. It doesn't matter around aesthetics or anything like that. Anything that comes up as a block to prevent me from doing it, I need to remove while still doing the thing. So things that are blocks for me is editing. I don't like to edit. Things that are blocks for me are the length and making sure that things are cohesive. So I need to remove my thinking around that and get over it. if my videos are broken up, then somebody watches one part and somebody watches another, and it's not a guarantee that everybody watches everything all together, but that's life. That's life. We all have very different attention spans. It's not that attention span is getting shorter or anything like that. It's not that they had a longer attention span back then. We're just getting a stronger representation of all the ways that people exist. And right now, we're being dominated by the thinking that learning that a new way that people exist means that we all exist this way, right? So the fact that some people have shorter attention spans, first of all, it's being vilified, and it's being capitalized on by certain programs, but it's not a bad thing, and it doesn't mean that everybody has a shorter attention span. And one of the things about being on this planet right now is this idea that we're all empaths has become pretty solidified, and it's something that we need to uproot, because we're not, and you don't have to be an empath, but that means you have to fight. So if you know that you have a longer attention span, but you can't seem to watch something longer than 20 minutes, now you need to begin to fight. That's your role in the revolution. Engaging with things, with creations, with art forms that are longer than 20 minutes. If you know that your attention span can do that and wants to do that, has the desire to do that. There's different ways that we have to show up, but you have to fight for yourself. And it's not going to be like an easy experience. It's very, very hard to challenge yourself and to commit to doing something differently. But ultimately, it's what's required. So, yeah, I think that's all. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.